the Canucks set an NHL record. Unfortunately, it's a bad one. Hey, hockey fans, welcome back. Welcome in if this is your first time joining us for Today in Hockey. I'm Josh, this is the Hockey Flow, and today it's Wednesday, October 19th, 2022. That's right, good morning, hockey fans. Thank you again for joining me. You know what? The NHL season is a week and about a half in the books. So you know what that means, right? Time for midweek observations. That's right. We're going to walk through 3 things that have stood out to me so far this week in the NHL regular season. We went ahead and did week 1 observations. Be sure to check that out. I do appreciate you guys. So we're going to go ahead and do midweek observations, and then we'll do week 2 observations this coming Saturday. So you guys can look forward to that. But without further ado, let's get into our 3 midweek observations for week 2 of the NHL season. If you do enjoy the content, take a moment, like the video, subscribe to the channel, helps us out a ton. We're going to keep bringing you hockey videos almost every day, and you want to be a part of the best community on YouTube after all. I do appreciate you guys. You are the best. So all right, let's get into it. Number 1, the Canucks need a change. So we mentioned it in the cold opening, but the Vancouver Canucks, unfortunately, guys, you are 0-4 after blowing 4 straight multi-goal leads. That is an NHL record. No team has started their season with 4 straight multi-goal leads and then lost those. So tough times in Vancouver. My heart is with you guys. Absolutely, I am a fan of the Canucks, and I was very high on them moving into the season. You know, you have a lot of really good pieces. You have some stars. I'm a fan of your coach, but that is going to be our talking point. You know, is a change in need. We just set NHL history, and not for a good way. But if we look at the stats, right, we take a look here. Big shout out to JFresh Hockey and Hockey Stat Cards for all the info here. We're going to look at this chart provided to us from JFresh Hockey. It shows us expected goals for versus expected goals against so far this season. In the Vancouver Canucks, spot on in the middle. So we're not really seeing something in the numbers to show that the team is really playing bad right now. So that's a good thing, right? And then we also look at the hockey stat cards. We take a look at the 4 games so far, and we can take a look at the game scores for each of the players. And to be quite honest, I'm not seeing anything that really stands out to me in the negative, really. That was the surprising piece. These game scores have actually been pretty solid. Now, for those not familiar, I'm a huge fan of the game scores provided by Dom from The Athletic and Hockey Stat Cards. Essentially, this number explains how much value you had on the game. It explains your impact. So the higher the number, the better. The lower the number, not so good. So if we look at the numbers here, the Canucks as a team and individuals, they're not playing that bad. We're not seeing, overwhelmingly negative scores. We're actually seeing some quite good ones here. For example, that opening game against the Oilers, they started out great, and the numbers kind of support that, right? We don't have too many folks drifting way over off to the left. That game against the Flyers, same thing. They actually played pretty well. Burrows had a heck of a game, and then we look over to the game against the Capitals, 4-6 loss. Elias Pettersson, look at the star. Your star is being a star, so you gotta love to see that as well. And then the game here tonight against the Blue Jackets, or last night against the Blue Jackets, Bo Horvat, Brock Besser both played pretty well. Tanner Pearson shows up. Even a rare Oliver Ekman-Larsson had an okay game according to the analytics. So, we really got to dive a little deeper. What is the issue? So I did pull some stats from hockeyreference.com, and I did see that the power play has been a point of issue for this team. 14% entering last night, and then they were 0 for 3 last night or tonight when I was putting this together. And that is going to be an issue, right? You sign JT Miller. Be sure to check out the video on that, because I think that's an excellent signing for them. You want to keep your stars in house, especially if you're trying to build something and you want to be a playoff team, right? But right now the power play is not clicking. Your stars are not getting it done on the power play in particular. So what is the answer? Canucks fans. You guys let me know. I'm not really sure. I don't think you let Boudreau go yet. If things don't turn around quick, I'm afraid they're going to pull the trigger. But I'm a big fan of him as a coach. Maybe we got to reshuffle the lineup a little bit. I know Myers just came back tonight, but did it really help? The Blue Jackets have some firepower, absolutely. But again, you got to clean up some of these issues, and we got to stop blowing these leads. So Canucks fans, let me know in the comments, what do you guys think needs to happen? I always love talking with you guys. All right. Observation number 2, it's all about the Breakout Kids. So we're going to take a look at 2 players in particular, Gabriel Vilardi of the Kings and Martin Necas of the Hurricanes. And I tell you what, these are both great redemption stories so far. I understand it's really early in the season, but so far the numbers are very exciting. Both of these lads are playing absolutely fantastic, and this is something that I know each fan base has been waiting for a little bit. So first up, let's take a look at Gabriel Vilardi. We're just going to call him Gabe moving forward. We look at his career stats provided to us by Hockey Reference. Big shout out to them. Love using them for our stats. We see that so far his career really hasn't amounted to too much production-wise yet. We see his a rookie year, 7 points. We see 2021, 23 points, right? We thought that was the beginning of something there. And then 21-22 was a little bit of a disaster for Mr. Vilardi. Didn't spend much time in the NHL at all. That team was young, building towards the playoffs, actually had a really good season, and unfortunately he wasn't really a part of it. He spent a lot of it not with the NHL team. Did play 25 games, but only put up 7 points. That's an important number. Keep that puppy in mind. And then so far this season, now hockeyreference.com didn't have last night's game in it, so we only had through 4 games, but he had 5 points through 4 games. Well, guess what? He had another big evening last night against the Predators. He's up to 7 points in 5 games. So he has actually matched his season total from last year, 25 games. He has already matched that in 5 games this season. So fantastic. You absolutely love to see it. Now, of course, we're going to keep our eyes on that shooting percentage. 30%, that's a little high. I don't think he's going to keep it that high. If it does come down a little bit, we do see his career average 15.8, 15.4, then 12.2. So maybe it does come down a little bit, but even if it does come down to the high teens, if he hits a 20, my goodness, and he keeps getting consistent playing time, that team is playing really well right now. Those kids are starting to emerge. That game score is absolutely fantastic. If we look at his history, we're under 0.5 for the last couple of seasons, and he's already at 2.9 so far this year. So, Mr. Vilardi, keep it up. I absolutely have the faith. The ice time is there. The shooting percentage is the only thing I'm going to keep my eye on. There's probably no way he's going to keep that up that high. Martin Necas, Carolina Hurricanes fans, you guys have been clamoring for this. He had a little bit of a breakout. Same sort of situation, not as dire as Vilardi last season. Necas did play 78 games with the Hurricanes last season. But Martin Necas, I'm a very big fan of his game as well, the young Czech Republic forward. Let's take a look at his career. So, been in the league a couple more seasons here. Started out 2017, 2018. Just got a cup of tea there, and then 7 games second season. But then there we go, 64 games in 2019, 2020, and he actually did put up 36 points. Nice 0.56 point per game. Then he moves on. Had a great season in 2021. Only 53 games played, but put up 41 points. So fantastic. We absolutely love to see it. And then last year, a little bit of a regression for Canes fans. I know they were very frustrated with how he played throughout the season. You could see the potential, what he can do, and it just didn't seem like he could really put it all together. But he still had 14 goals, 26 assists, good for 40 points, right? 40 points, that's fantastic. We did a video recently on Alexis Lafreniere, having a great start to the season. Hats off to him, but we give him, folks don't really talk about him too much, and he had less points last season and same amount of games. So far this season, though, Martin Necas has been the talk of Canes Town. 3 games and 5 points, 2 goals, 3 assists. He is absolutely humming. We look at that game score, 2.74, even better than Vilardi so far. And that average ice time, that is something that I really am happy to see. 18 minutes, 18 seconds so far of average ice time. Hopefully he can maintain that. That means he is involved in every facet of the game. But same thing for Necas. This is a breakout. breakout. This is definitely a breakout. If he continues to do this, this wouldn't necessarily be on trend, because we do see his previous season game scores right around there, same as Vilardi, right around 0.5. So Martin Necas, another player that I am absolutely going to keep my eye on moving forward. Hopefully he can keep this up. You know, that 22% shooting percentage is a lot more manageable than that 30% shooting percentage for Vilardi. I do absolutely love to see it, but the points per game spike, it is. We're only a few games in for Necas and 5 games in for Vilardi. It is a spike. That is a little, a little something to keep your eye on, but I have the confidence in these lads. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Are they going to keep it up this season? Again, love talking with you guys. Love to get your opinion on this stuff. All right. Last but not least, the Ottawa Senators. Did you guys catch it last night? The offense has awoken. Absolutely. 7-5 win over the Bruins last night. And the offseason darlings, it's good to see them finally get on track, at least offensively. So let's get into it. Again, we pulled the stat cards from Hockey Stat Cards for their 3 games so far. And then we also pulled a couple player cards to take a peek at those. But let's look at the games first. 3 goals so far in their first 2 games. Then tonight, they popped off 7 goals. My goodness, it was a great game overall. The Bruins and Senators were back and forth. It was very electric. The barn was rocking to start the game. Every NHL arena should feel like that. But the Stars showed up, absolutely. If we take a look at that game impact card here, Brady Tkachuk, Tim Stützle, Drake Batherson, Artem Zub, the names, the familiar faces, they showed up. And yes, Artem Zub, I'm a big fan of the right-handed defenseman. He's a great player for them, and I think they got themselves a good one. So nice to see him show up on the score sheet today as well. And then that fourth line, man, we look at the impact there on the scores, and we see Joseph, Watson, Mott, that's just great. Good for them. It's neat to see Ottawa get some production out of that fourth line, and it's good to see their stars show up as well. But they still do have defensive issues. That is one thing that stands out in this in this card for last night's game. We still see some issues on the defensive end. Poor Jake Sanderson had a rough game defensively. Alex DeBrincat got cooked, and Claude Giroux, that is something we're going to talk about in just a moment. Now, they did show well defensively against Buffalo. That does look very nice. It's good to see the defensive, that dark blue on the right side, absolutely. But let's look at Claude Giroux. So I know he got a goal last night in the 7-5 thrashing, but is Claude Giroux pressing a little bit? Now, I don't know if this is necessarily the case. We see his game score at 0.63, but to be quite honest, his game score prior seasons isn't that much higher. His peak is about 0.90, so we're not that far off the pace. It's a new team, getting acclimated to the city, the situation. I think give him time, everything will work out really well. It is interesting to see him show up, though, at the bottom of the last 2 games. He's at the bottom there of all these players on his impact score. And then how about Brady Tkachuk? Man, it is fun to watch this young lad grow. He is developing in front of our eyes, and the game score looks fantastic as well. 1.57, so not as fantastic as those 2 breakout candidates previously, but still definitely something he should hang his hat up on and be proud of. This game in particular, he looked very dominant, man. He was owning the middle. He was winning faceoffs. It's interesting to see Brady Tkachuk really dominating and winning faceoffs. I'd really be interested on your guys' take. I wonder why they don't move him over to center. He wins the faceoffs. He does the dirty work in the middle. He doesn't spend a ton of time out on the wing. So that is something I'm very curious of. Let me know your thoughts, guys. Let me know your thoughts on the Senators. And that's going to do it for the midweek observations. We'll be back later this week with more. And we'll keep doing other video topics as well, because we love hockey and just like you guys do. So what stood out to you guys this week so far? Let me know down in the comments. I do appreciate you guys. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't. Until next time, hockey fans, I appreciate you all. Cheers!